Welcome back to the channel, man. I present to some and introduce to others, man. This is the You Got the Floor Sports broadcast, coming back with another video. Today's video, we're going to be recapping the season that the Colorado Buffaloes just had. The Heisman candidate race between Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty. Man, we also going to get into the recruitments that they got coming in for this upcoming season, after Travis and all the rest of the seniors and Shador head to the NFL. So, further ado, we're going to recap and get into, the season that they had. So let's get started with the first game of the season. It was a home game in Boulder against North Dakota State. I know a lot of people, even after they won that game, they did win that game 31-26. I know a lot of people, gave them a lot of flack. But like great NFL players have said, you got to find a way to win the ugly ones. Was it the most impressive win? No. But nonetheless, the W is what matter when it's all said and done. But also it was things that they needed to clean up as well, that they potentially, had trouble with throughout the rest of the season. Well, not the rest of the season, but certain parts of the season, I would say. Forgive me for saying that. Second game of the season, they headed up to Lincoln. And I'm pretty sure everyone thought that going into this one, it would be more of the same of what it was last year when they played Nebraska, when they pretty much stomped them. But they had the freshman quarterback coming in, Dylan Raiola, who was highly touted, talked about, sought after. He played like it that game. Honestly, I can say that, he played great. He played great. The Buffaloes, I think they were kind of just caught up in the moment and not necessarily focused, not necessarily overwhelmed by being caught up, I would say, but just lacking focus and being caught up in the moment. They didn't really just focus and lock in and say, okay, we're here, we got a job to do, let's go get the W and get out of here. I think they were just caught up in the rivalry, the emotions, and they really couldn't get it going like that game, which caused them to lose that game 28-10. But moving on to that, the third game of the season, it was another away game, but this time it was up in Fort Collins, and we all remember what the game was like when Colorado State came to Boulder last season. It was emotionally charged, the late hit or dirty hit on Travis Hunter, by Henry Blackburn. He also returned for this last season. And there has been a lot of chit-chatter before leading up to this game between Torrey Horton and Nicholas Falauci, talking about Instagram followers and they can't win the game for you on the field. But what we all saw was when it all came down to actually performing in between those white lines, it was Colorado who got the job done. It was Shador who outplayed Brandon. Travis did, despite Torrey playing hurt, Travis did limit him to, just a few yards. Like Travis and the other corners, DJ McKinney and the safeties, for Colorado, they did a pretty good job holding them in check. So I would say that, you got to just be humble sometimes in your approach and just take one game at a time. But, that's what happened. That's how that game shook out. And Colorado kind of shook back after, losing that game to Nebraska. They won that game against Colorado State 28-9. So, they were feeling, really good about themselves. So heading back home for the fourth game of the season, this was, the first Big 12 opener conference game against Baylor. I didn't know what to expect from Baylor. I know what was on paper before the season, but I didn't know what to expect of Baylor coming into the game. But the fact that this game was one of the ones that pretty much put Colorado on the map as far as like entertainment and buzz, and look at this play, this was that game on both sides of the ball for the Buffaloes, with Shador throwing the Hail Mary pass to Jeanty as time expired in regulation to send it to overtime. And then in overtime with the Buffaloes taking the lead, with Travis Hunter forcing a fumble and having the ball go out of the back of the end zone when he forced the fumble on the 1 yard line to seal the win, to give the Buffaloes their first win of the Big 12 Conference. They won that game 38-31. So riding high, those boys, they were 3-1 going into the fourth game, and the fifth game. Sorry, the fifth game was in Orlando against UCF. Now, before this game, UCF was 3-0. And they were riding high, potentially had like the best run, one of the best run offenses in the country. Not just in the Big 12, but in the country. And the big question mark for Colorado was, how were they going to deal and put up with the run game of UCF with KJ Jefferson and RJ Harvey? That was the big question mark. Was Coach Sapp and, Coach Dancy, going to have that D-line, ready to go, have those boys ready to go. And Coach Hart had the linebacking core ready to go. So that was one of the big questions going into this game because, UCF, they're known for running the football. That game, honestly, it started off, Shador threw a pick, But the Buffaloes got it right back with Preston Hodge getting the pick right back off of KJ Jefferson. But once they kind of settled in and hit their stride, it was really nothing that UCF could do with them. Like they had their moments where they had big runs. Offensively, they didn't really get too many deep plays over the top. KJ Jefferson was kind of like the driving force on the offense, even though, he did throw an interception to Travis Hunter. And, they did make him cough up the football later on in the game. I think the hit was by Jeanty's brother, number 25, Jalen Wester. He delivered the hit. So I do believe that, the defense showed up to play that game, and I didn't think that UCF would expect Colorado to come out the way they did defensively. I think they already know what to expect offensively from the Buffaloes, seeing as how they already kind of got to look at all the weapons by this point in the season that they had on offense, from the run game to the passing game and the deep receiving core that Colorado had. Colorado ended up winning that game against UCF 48-21, which is a pretty dominant win down there in Florida in the bounce house against UCF. The next game, they had a bye week after that, week 6, which was kind of perfect, you know what I'm saying? But also, in my opinion, was kind of like a gift and a curse, because it was just like, well, I wouldn't even say curse. Let me not say curse. But injuries played a part in the following game. The bye week, everybody had a chance to kind of rest and just recuperate and get back to as close as 100% as possible. The following game, though, was against Kansas State, who was ranked number 17 in the nation at the time, I believe. That game, Travis Hunter goes down. Amarion Miller goes down. Terrell Timmons goes down. Travis Hunter went down. I think Jimmy Horn went down that game. I'm not sure if I said Travis twice, but Jimmy Horn went down that game as well. And they still ended up losing that game by 3, 38-21. That game right there, seeing as how the season ended for the Buffaloes, that game right there, that's the one that they wish that they could have had back or had no injuries in. And, but it's football, so that's kind of the name of the game. You got to go with the flow. So unfortunately, they lose that game by 3 to rank Kansas State, and the implications of Kansas State being ranked, sorry. Had they won that game, Kansas State potentially is not ranked, or if they're ranked, they're probably ranked at the bottom, like of the top 25, like 23 or 24, something like that. If they lose that game to Colorado, Colorado then becomes ranked, and then if the rest of the season pans out the way that it was supposed to, which is the way that it did, with the following game, they go on the road to Tucson, Arizona. They beat the University of Arizona soundly 34-7. Travis Hunter has another breakout game. And the Buffaloes are rolling at this point. And then they have another home game against Cincinnati, where, a gang of recruits were in town for that one as well. I believe that's the one that Julian Lewis and Corday Smith were actually there for, the two that flipped from USC to Colorado. And they beat Cincinnati 34-23, which was a, few mistakes here and there, but overall, I believe that they played great against Cincinnati, and they were cooking at this point. And that makes their second win in a row, following the win in Arizona, and that was their second win in a row. And then they had another bye week, which gave them an opportunity to kind of rest and recuperate and get some of their guys back to 100%. I mean, we already know the injury to Amarion Miller sat him down for the remainder of the season. It was an unfortunate injury, but it did sit him down for the remainder of the season. So that was another big weapon that the Buffaloes potentially could have had, who could have potentially swung another game in their favor. So who knows what he could have brought to the table, and they could have potentially, had he not got hurt against Kansas State, I believe they beat Kansas State, even with the injuries to Jimmy Horn and everyone else in Terrell Timmons. I believe if Amarion Miller doesn't go down that game, they beat Kansas State that game. That's just my honest opinion. The following game after that is when they went on the road to Lubbock after that bye week, after the second bye. They went on the road to Lubbock to play the Texas Tech Red Raiders. That game, with the tortillas being thrown, the ball boy incident, it was just a lot. Like, Jimmy Horn went down that game. I believe, he injured his knee, if I'm not mistaken, by slipping on a tortilla. But, kind of chippy at first. Colorado was down 13-0, which kind of had a lot of people who weren't, I would say, like, weren't believing in the Buffaloes. They were kind of raised eyebrows for concern. But from what I've seen at this point in the season, by the time they play Texas Tech, is they're a resound team. Like, they're resilient. When they get down, they don't get down on themselves. They just stay focused. They stay locked in. And then what you saw on display is what you saw on display, a resilient team that just refuses to quit this year. That's one of the big differences from this team this year and the Colorado Buffaloes of last year. This team, when they got down, they didn't get down and out on themselves. They fought back, they clawed back in the games. That's one thing I will notice: the fight, the heart, the drive, the hunger to keep being in the games. That's what I noticed from them this year. They go on to beat Texas Tech 41-27, which is lining up for, at this point, for their college football playoff implications to start to look good. They just have to keep handling business at this point in the season. And then after that, they had a home game against Utah. We all remember the game last year in Utah where there were some questionable calls, some touchdowns called back. Who knows? That game probably would have went a different way last year as well. But this time, Utah had a few injuries. Cam Rising was down again. They had injuries, which is part of the game. You still have to compete. But hats off to Utah. They came, they fought hard, but Colorado did end up winning that game soundly as well, 49-24. At this point, they just had to win the last two games, which is Kansas and Oklahoma State. Now, going into Kansas, I will say that part of that was, well, I would say in large part, the Buffaloes couldn't stop Devin Neal in his run game. It was just poor tackling from what I saw. And also the referees, kind of missed on some calls. Some things were a little questionable. I don't know necessarily if to say that would swing the outcome or the course of the game, but there were some certain calls that were missed. Nonetheless, the Buffaloes had their own future in their hands. Like they had to just take care of business on the road. The game was at Arrowhead Stadium where the Chiefs play. The atmosphere was incredible when I watched the game. Like, it was just incredible, like an incredible atmosphere. It kind of gave a feel of an NFL type game, being that it was in the stadium. But they did lose that game 37-21. At this point, they're 8-2. No, I'm sorry. At this point, they're 8-3. And then they have one last game, and everyone knows it was the game, against Oklahoma State at home in Boulder. The last game for all the seniors, for the people that are going to the draft next year. And it was a great game. Kind of got stagnant in the second quarter with the Buffaloes being up 21-0, but just couldn't put anything else together before half to actually, up the score, even though by the time the third and fourth quarter came, they dominated. They did end up shutting out the Oklahoma State Cowboys 52-0. Superb game by Shedeur Sanders. Superb game by Travis Hunter. Superb game by LaJohntay Wester. They finished the season 9-3, ranked number 20th. I think it's a huge turnaround, in my honest opinion, from being 1-11 to 4-8 to 9-3, and now being ranked with potentially finishing the entire season 10-3. With the, if they go on and take care of business, which I believe they will in the bowl game, they'll finish the season 10-3. I think that's an amazing turnaround for the program. I'm curious and excited to see where it goes from here. I do want to talk about the Heisman race between Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty. Man, in my honest opinion, I like to look at it like this: the award for Heisman goes to the best college player in the best player in college football. That has to be Travis Hunter. Anybody that's played the game of football knows that how hard it is to play receiver and to be as effective as he was, and then turn around and play corner and then be as effective as he was. I'm not taking anything from Ashton Jeanty at all. But the facts is the facts. Barry Sanders got that record in less games and a much tougher conference back then. Like, no diss to the Mountain West Conference, but it wasn't the Big 12 when Barry Sanders was playing. They like to compare his numbers to Reggie Bush, Derrick Henry, but the Mountain West wasn't what the Pac-12 was when Reggie was playing. It wasn't. The toughest run defense that Ashton Jeanty had to face was Oregon this year. Other than that, every other run defense was a cakewalk. And he's been fed the ball 30-plus times a game. The numbers should look like that if he's getting fed the ball 30-plus times a game and he plays running back. But for Travis to have the year he's had on offense and defense and to play the number of snaps he played, and I know a lot of people try to discredit his snaps, like, oh, he's playing a lot of snaps. Stamina is part of the name of the game in football. You can't be effective if you don't have anything in the tank to go. So I don't like the people try to downplay the fact that You know, how in shape he is. That plays a part in football. Regardless of the fact you can be one of the most talented athletes, but if you're not in shape, you're not gonna yield your fullest potential. You know, like now if Ashton Jeanty was playing linebacker and had, you know, over 120 some tackles and forced fumbles and, you know, things, then it's like, okay, yeah, different conversation. Now, if Travis was just playing receiver, the award is Ashton Jeanty's for sure. It's not a question. But the fact that he's doing it on both sides of the ball and at the elite level that he's doing it at, it can't be ignored. We're going to see another Ashton Jeanty, just like we see Ashton Jeanty approaching Barry's record. You get what I'm saying, you guys? Like, it's approaching Barry's record, which means it's been done before. We've never seen anyone like Travis Hunter. Yeah, we've seen two-way players before. We've never seen two-way players to this caliber, to this magnitude, be as great as he is, and the longevity that he plays with within the game. Like that's your Heisman winner right there, you know. And let's see here. Okay, moving right along, we're gonna get right into the recruits for Colorado coming up. I know that Coach Prime had a big recruiting day the evening of Thanksgiving. He landed four, he landed four recruits, four nice recruits, four great recruits. Is going to pick up where he's already leaving off with Shador and Jeanty and Will Shepherd. You know, they already have a lot of freshmen that are still there, that were there this year, from Cam Miller. Cordell Stewart I think he's a redshirt sophomore this year. You have Draylon Miller, who saw a lot of playing time, Cash Cleveland, Jordan Seaton. You have a multitude of guys that are still there, you know, that are coming. So first things first, we're going to get started with, obviously, the biggest name in the draft class for the university, for the recruitment class, I should say, for the University of Colorado. And that's none other than four-star, well, I like to call him five-star. I know sometimes the sites get it wrong. But five-star quarterback Julian Lewis, man, you know, from Carrollton, Georgia. You know, that's out of Carrollton, Georgia. That's the school he plays for, the Carrollton, Georgia Trojans. Man, five-star, what can I say? The kid is great. He had offers from everywhere. He committed to Colorado. He had offers from Auburn, USC, Indiana, Alabama, Arkansas, Cincinnati, Florida, Florida State, Georgia. So just about everyone in the country sought after Julian. You know, he's he's incredible. You know, he was nationally ranked the number 9 QB in the country, per 24/7 Sports, I should say. But you know, 6 foot, 185, strong arm, great mobility. I'm pretty sure he's gonna love Pat Shermer's you know, pro style, pro happy offense. You know, it's gonna let him, you know, air the ball out. It's gonna let him spin it. It's gonna let him show off his arm strength. So I feel like that was a great pickup. You know, to step in and fill the void of Shador being drafted. You know, and going into the NFL. Coach Prime needed a quarterback, and he got one in Julian Lewis. So I feel like as long as they can, bolster that offensive lineup even more than what it already is with Cash Cleveland and Jordan Seaton and other players coming along to play, they should be more than fine. And the reason why I say that is because bolstering up the offensive line is exactly what they're doing. Because they also had a flip along with Juju. Juju decommitted from USC, and the Trojans, they got a commitment from Hassan Longstreet, who's a quarterback from Southern California out there, Corona Centennial. You know, he's going to be their quarterback. But the Trojans also had a flip. The offensive tackle, the 4-star offensive tackle, Corday Smith, he committed to Colorado. He flipped. He was committed to USC, but he flipped, and now he's going to be playing as a Buffalo. You know, he's a right offensive tackle. So, that pairing with him on the right side and Jordan Seaton on the left side, Julian Lewis doesn't have any trouble there. With Cash Cleveland at the center, he doesn't have any trouble there as well. Their offensive line coach is Philip Longholt, NFL vet, very savvy, knows what he's doing, has the offensive line playing way better in the second year of Coach Prime being there than what they did last year, So I'm excited for Corday Smith. He's 6'5", 293, playing right offensive tackle, man, out of the Williamson High School. He's going to be great. He's going to be great in the system. Great pass blocker, quick hands, quick feet. He can get out on the edge and set the edge as far as run blocking when you need him to. Man, the Buffaloes got one, and I think that Dion and the Buffaloes and Coach Prime are trending in the right direction, as far as the recruitment goes. He had offers from everybody, from Auburn to Florida State, Miami, Mississippi State, Missouri, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Tulane. He had offers from everybody. Vanderbilt. So Carnay Smith was highly sought after, and he chose the Buffaloes, which is a good pickup for Coach Prime. Moving right along from that, we have a D lineman out of the IMG Academy by the name of Alexander McPherson. Now, he was a commit to Oklahoma State, but he decommitted from Oklahoma State a few days prior to committing to the University of Colorado. That IMG Academy pipeline down there in Florida, the connection is strong with Cash Cleveland and Jordan Seating coming from the IMG Academy. So I'm pretty sure that IMG, the Boulder pipeline, is being built if it's not built already. He was a 3-star edge rusher coming out of the, class of 25, 6'5", 240. He had offers from Oklahoma State, of course, as I stated, NC State, FIU, Indiana, Michigan State, Pittsburgh, UNLV, Western Kentucky. So he had a few offers. His game is kind of touted after Max Crosby, which is what I think the Buffaloes can definitely add to their arsenal when it comes to the defensive line. You need someone that had to set the edge, like a Max Crosby. I think that's a different element with Coach Sapp and Coach Dancy that they can, add and mold and, shape and mold and really turn him into the potential that he has to be. So I'm very excited to see, what he's going to look like playing with Colorado for the following season. The next recruitment after that goes by the name of Quentin Gibson, man. He's a speedster. He's out of North Crowley High School in Texas. 3-star recruit. He had offers from just about a few people from Arkansas State to Colorado State, Illinois, Kansas State, Memphis, Mississippi State, Oklahoma State, just to name a few, TCU. He had a few offers on the table. A speedster reminds you of Jeanty or Devontae Smith in that aspect. Like I said before, he's 5'8", 165, so not physically imposing, but he can flip the field in a hurry. It doesn't matter where you are on the field. If he gets his hands on the football and he gets some green in front of him, you can hang it up. That's going to be something like, that they can really build on and kind of open up the playbook and expand more, with a weapon like Quentin Gibson. I think Julian Lewis is going to, like I stated, with all the receivers that are already there, Julian Lewis is just going to have weapons at his disposal, with a Marion Miller, Draylon Miller, as I stated, Cam McHale. All these guys are still there. All the young freshman guys are still there. So, Cordell Smith. So it's like they're going to have a time in Boulder. They're going to be hard to beat for a long, long time. And I think that's what Coach Prime was really pressing for. He didn't want, success with just his son there and then they fall off the bandwagon from there. No. I think he wants to try to build a dynasty in Boulder, Colorado. And I believe with these recruitments that he has, and I believe that there is more to come from the transfer portal, as well as high school recruits. I know National Signing Day is December 4th, which is tomorrow. So I know that, a lot of guys might flip and choose Colorado. And, they're going to let some guys at the transfer portal as well. Some key guys that have years under their belt that can also come in and be like teachers on the field, kind of like how some of the seniors that came in, from the transfer portal this season were. Like Justin Mayers, Khalil Benson, Will Shepard, just seniors that have been around the game of college football that can kind of give that tutelage to the younger classmen, to kind of help mold their game and push it in the direction that it needs to go in. So, I'm really excited for Quentin Gibson, someone that hasn't committed to the University of Colorado, but he's very, very high on the University of Colorado. And that is their linebacker, Nathaniel Osu-Boateng from the IMG Academy as well. Like I said, that IMG, the Boulder Pipeline, is being built. Now, he's a 4-star linebacker. He has offers. He's crystal ball to go to Michigan per 24/7 Sports, but his interest in Colorado is at the top of his list, he says. So, he has offers from Ohio State, Texas, USC, Michigan, just to name a few. And if Coach Prime can land this linebacker, I feel like Nikhil Hill-Green was a great linebacker for the Buffalo this year, along with Lamont Bentley. But I think that this linebacker right here, Nathaniel, will be that catalyst that'll kind of push what they've already built. Those linebackers that I named, it will push what they've already built to even higher heights. And it'll, open up the floodgates for the defense to really just pin their ears back and play ball, knowing that they have someone like him at the linebacking core, that can really get it done. Like I said, 6'5", 205, can fly around, make every tackle sideline to sideline. I'm excited. I hope tomorrow, it's like I said, it's National Signing Day, so I'll be listening out and seeing what is what. I might drop a short video on that tomorrow to see who signs where and see what action comes to Buffalo's way when it comes to signage. But another recruitment that did commit, to the University of Colorado, the receiver out of Houston, Texas, out of North Shore High School, Quanell Farrakhan Jr., man, a flyer. When we're talking about a flyer, we're talking about a flyer. Can just flat out fly, man. Can just flat out run. He's 5'11", $185, man. But I mean, I've checked the tape. I've seen North Shore play this year. They had a playoff run. I got a chance to check out some of his tape on Max Preps. The kid's a flat out stud, man. Like flat out think Jimmy Horn, but I think with like a little more shifty and bend in the open traffic of making you miss. 4-star recruit. He was recruited by Alabama, Arizona State, Arkansas, UCLA, Colorado. He chose the Buffaloes over all these schools. Those are just a few of the schools. He got a total of 26 offers. So I would say that he was highly sought after, and I'm glad that he chose Colorado. I think he saw what Coach Prime is building, and he feel like they can help push it to the next level. Also, seeing freshmen come in and play, I think that's been a big key for the Buffaloes going forward. Having freshmen come in and play, they all want to kind of do that. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes, going forward. The next recruitment they have is an offensive lineman named Mantrez Walker. Also he's out of Buford, Georgia. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm sorry, he's not an offensive lineman. He's a linebacker. He's 6'1", 225. Mantrez Walker out of Buford, Georgia. I think that's the same city, if I'm not mistaken, that Alejandro Mata, the kicker for the Buffaloes, is from. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, same high school, Buford High School. So he is a 3-star recruit per 24/7 on sports. He had offers from Stanford, Arkansas, Duke, Boston College. He chose the Buffaloes over those, just to name a few. There's a few more schools. Also, they gave him an offer that he chose the Buffaloes over. Um, Big hitter from what I've seen. Half of these guys, I've checked their tapes out on Max Preps. Mantrez is a big hitter. He likes to put his nose on the football. He likes to fly around and get to the football. Like I said, him and Nathaniel and the linebacking core could be something special. The stars don't really make the player. The players make the stars, So I know that it says he's a 3-star, but that doesn't matter in between the white lines. What matters is what you bring to the table. So I do believe that he's something that Coach Hart and that linebacker room can use, definitely. I'm glad that he committed to the Buffaloes. He gave his heart commitment on April 27th of this year. So, he's been committed to the Buffaloes for a while, which means he stayed locked in. He likes what he sees. And, I think he's decided to come in and get to work and get started and get to the next level. However, the next commitment is another offensive lineman. It's an interior offensive lineman, so maybe, left guard or right guard, not really sure what they're going to play him at. But that would be Chauncey Goodman out of the Lipscomb Academy in Nashville, Tennessee. He stands at 6'4", 320. He's a 4-star recruit per 24/7 Sports. He had offers from Clemson, Arkansas State, Auburn. He chose Colorado over all those schools. So I love the fact that they're bolstering up that offensive line. I love it. I love it. I love it. They need more of it. And all honesty, in my opinion, they need more of it. Going forward with the running backs that they have, and I'm pretty sure if they get another running back out of the portal, they want that offensive line to be able to run the football. So I think going forward, that's what their main focus was with recruiting in the transfer portal after the season was over. They ran the ball some this year and kind of balanced out the offense for Shedeur, but I think they want to expand on that a little more. They want to be able to have a balanced game on offense. They want to be able to keep the defense on their toes and not necessarily have them hone in on one thing as far as what they're going to do. I think Chauncey Gooden, along with Carday Smith, Jordan Seaton, and Cash Cleveland, like I said, bolstering up that offensive line, I believe that they're going to do that in the following season, this upcoming season. So I'm excited for him, excited to see how he fits with Coach Longholt and see how, he gets molded and brought into the system and see if he, I'm pretty sure he's going to buy in because he's already committed. Most of these kids are going to sign tomorrow on the 4th, which is National Signing Day. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the upcoming season, man. It's going to be a great one. It's going to be a great one for Colorado. I know they're going to finish off their season with a bowl game this year, where they're likely to get the bowl win. And from there, they're going to go ahead and focus on the offseason and their needs and take it from there. And I'm just excited to see what they're going to have, in store for the upcoming season. Their next commitment was from a wide receiver named Adrian Wilson out of Weiss High School in Pflugerville, Texas. He's a 4-star recruit. He's about 6 foot. He stands 6 foot, 170 pounds, man. He's a hard commit. He committed on October 26th. So, I'm excited. High flyer. He high points the ball a lot for him to only be 6 foot. He knows how to go up and go get it. That's also a weapon I think that Julian Lewis is going to be able to use, going forward. He had offers from Auburn, Baylor, Colorado State, Arizona State, and he committed to Colorado. So I think he saw something on the recruitment trip when he came that, just made him feel at home and feel comfortable. But nonetheless, I love the fact that the receiving room is as deep as it is. I love the fact that Julian Lewis is going to have the weapons he's going to have. Not only the weapons he's going to have, but the offensive line to give him time and, time to protect and throw and be able to pick apart a defense. So that is, one of the things that I'm looking forward to from Colorado pretty much in the upcoming season. Another recruit that flipped also is London Merritt, the edge rusher. He was committed to Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. He was committed to Ohio State, and he flipped. So I'm excited from him. He's from the IMG Academy as well. He's an edge rusher as well, so they're bolstering up that defensive line as well as the offensive line. He stands about 6'2", 250, He's a 4-star recruit per 24/7 Sports. He, like I said, he was committed to Ohio State. He decommitted. He had an offer from Alabama, North Carolina, Arkansas, Ohio State, Colorado as well. He chose the Buffaloes out of all of them. He flipped his commitment on the 28th of November, and I'm pretty sure he's going to sign his national letter of intent tomorrow. They are building something. I know I keep saying it, but they are truly, truly, truly building something in Boulder, Colorado. And I think that the country is taking notice of what they're building. I know there's a lot of talks of Coach Prime, he needs to get out of Boulder. He needs to go to the SEC. I think that a lot of those guys had the opportunity to give him a shot, and they didn't give it to him. And now he's found his home in Boulder, Colorado with Rick George, the AD there, and the rest of the staff there. They welcome him with open arms and let him run the program his way, which has yielded tangible results thus far. I think the only way they can trend is up from this point, in all honesty. So I'm excited for the Buffaloes. I'm excited for the season that they've had. I know people thought, college football playoffs, but that to me is just like, hey, it could have happened. It didn't happen. The season is not a failure because it did not happen. I think that's what people kind of have to take into account. I know people wanted them to make the Big 12 title game and potentially college football playoffs, but the season is not a failure. It's a 9-win season, potentially a 10-win season if they close out this bowl game with the win. So my hats off to Coach Prime, the entire coaching staff, the players, the trainers, the medical staff of the Colorado Buffaloes. You guys did an exceptional job this year. The recruitment was amazing this year. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. Tune into the channel. I know I haven't uploaded like that in a while, but I'm back. More videos to come. You guys stay tuned in. Man, and always keep Jesus first, man. Love you guys, and I'm signing out. Peace.